What if the most valuable education you've ever had didn't happen in a classroom? For so long, the path to success seemed pretty straightforward, right? Go to university, get that degree, start your career. But let's be honest, that path just isn't for everyone. So today, we're going to explore a completely different route to a degree, one that values your life experience just as much as any textbook. Okay, let's get into it.
So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the hurdles of the traditional university system. Then we'll uncover this really powerful alternative called recognition of prior learning. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of how you can turn your experience into academic credits, see how it's already changing lives out in the real world, and we'll wrap up by asking a really fundamental question. What kind of knowledge really counts?
All right, let's start with the big challenge, what we're calling the university hurdle. We love to think of higher education as this great equalizer, but is it actually a level playing field for everyone?
Let's just ask that question head on, because when you really start to look at who gets into university, and maybe more importantly, who actually succeeds once they're there, well, the picture gets a whole lot more complicated. It turns out that just getting your foot in the door is only half the battle.
The data here tells a really powerful story. This chart shows that students over 21, people who are often juggling work and families and all sorts of financial pressures, have a consistently harder time finishing their studies compared to younger students. And that gap, that represents thousands of dreams put on hold, thousands of people who started a university journey that just got cut short.
But what do those numbers actually feel like for a real person? This quote from Nicole, a law student, just gets right to the heart of it. It's not always about being smart enough, it's about this constant, nagging feeling of being an outsider, fighting this powerful sense that you just don't belong in a world with its own kind of unfamiliar rules and social codes. So, here's the crucial point. The whole university experience can be really isolating. It's not just about the tuition fees or the textbooks. There's this sort of hidden curriculum of social networks, cultural references, and expectations that can make anyone who isn't a traditional student feel like they're on the outside looking in. But what if we could build a bridge over those hurdles? What if a system existed that actually recognized that some of the most profound learning we do happens miles away from any campus? Well, that system is real, and it's called recognition of prior learning.
This is it, recognition of prior learning, or RPL for short. To put it simply, it's a formal process for getting the knowledge and skills you already have recognized by an educational institution. It's all about making your hidden expertise visible, valuable, and, this is the key part, certified.
So, how is this different from the path we all know? Well, traditional learning is mostly classroom-based, pretty theoretical. RPL, on the other hand, is all about what you've experienced. It's practical. Instead of rigid entry requirements, it offers these flexible pathways, basically saying, hey, you might already know everything we teach in this first-year course.
And RPL has two really game-changing goals. First, access. It can get you into a program even if you don't have those standard A levels or whatever. And second, credit. It can actually award you academic credits for what you already know, which could shorten the time it takes to get your degree and, lower the cost.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right? But how does it actually work? Well, this is where something called a portfolio comes in. It's basically the key to turning all your life experience into credible, solid evidence.
Building a portfolio is actually way more straightforward than you might think. It's a structured document. You start with the basics, title page, personal info, but then you get to the core of it. You map your real-world experiences to the specific course modules you want credit for. So, say you've managed to finances for your local community group. You detail exactly how that experience matches a budget management module. And then you back it all up with evidence in the appendices, things like certificates, project reports, even written feedback from a manager.
But you can't just throw anything in there. Your evidence has to be rock solid. It needs to meet 3 key criteria. It has to be authentic. It's got to be your own work and your achievement. It needs to be current, usually from the last 5 years, just to show your skills are up to date. And most important of all, it has to be relevant. It's not enough to say you led a team. You have to show exactly how that experience meets the learning goals of, say, the leadership skills module in the course.
And this, right here, is where the real magic happens. RPL isn't just making a list of jobs you've had. It's about deep reflection. You have to ask yourself some tough questions. What did I really learn from that project that went sideways? How has that success changed the way I solve problems now? Can you think of a specific challenge you faced and how you've used that learning since?
This is how you actually turn your life's work into a degree.
So, the big question, does this system actually work? Let's take a look at RPL out in the real world, where it's already having a massive impact on people's lives.
Take a look at South Africa, where RPL is actually a cornerstone of their national education strategy. As of 2016, more than 26,000 people had already earned formal qualifications through this very pathway. So this isn't some niche experiment. It's a proven system that works on a huge national scale.
And it's not limited to just one or two fields. I mean, look at the top sectors here. We see huge numbers in really highly skilled areas like manufacturing and engineering, business and management, and construction. This shows that complex, practical, on-the-job knowledge is being formally recognized all across the economy.
I mean, think about this fruit grower for a second. Decades of experience. That's not just a lot of time on the job. It's deep expertise in soil chemistry, pest management, supply chain logistics, maybe even predictive weather analysis. Through RPL, all of that hands-on, hard-won knowledge can be assessed and turned into formal credits towards a qualification in agriculture.
And the applications are just incredibly diverse. Think about the discipline, the mastery of music theory, the public performance skills learned by a police band member. Or what about the strategic planning, the motivational techniques, the deep understanding of human physiology developed by a sports coach? These are all valid, complex forms of learning that hold real academic weight. RPL just gets that expertise comes in many, many forms.
So, all of this brings us to a bigger, almost philosophical question. Exploring RPL really forces us to challenge our most basic assumptions about what education is and what it means to be intelligent.
Turns out, the biggest obstacle to RPL being used more widely isn't about logistics. It's what they call a conceptual barrier. As a society, we just have this bias. We tend to put knowledge learned from a book up on a pedestal while kind of undervaluing the complex problem-solving knowledge you gain in the workplace or, just through life itself. And that's why RPL is so much more than just some administrative process. It's a really powerful tool for social justice. In countries like South Africa, it was designed specifically to fix historical inequalities, to create a more inclusive system that values all kinds of knowledge and offers a real opportunity to everyone.
So I'll leave you with this thought. Just take a moment to think about your own journey, the jobs you've had, the projects you've led, maybe the caregiving you've done, the skills you've mastered on your own time. If all of that experience could be turned into a qualification, what would your degree be in?